What makes Fire Emblem Fates unique? Up until 2013, Nintendo was losing faith in its strategy RPG series, but with the release of Fire Emblem Awakening and its record-smashing success, the Fire Emblem franchise went from cult favorite to mass market appeal. It's no surprise that Intelligent Systems rushed to get the next title in development. Fire Emblem Fates was released in June 2015 in Japan and the following February in North America. Released in 2 versions and a third sort of middle version, Fates has already achieved record sales for the series, selling 500,000 copies in Japan alone and a staggering 300,000 units in its opening weekend in North America. Considering Awakening was a last-ditch effort to save the franchise, Fates is the first to be developed without weight on the shoulders of the developers. Intelligent Systems tends to tweak the formula for every game in the series, and their newest installment is no exception. What makes Fire Emblem Fates unique is how it hybrids many old and new concepts that players and even enemies can take advantage of, giving it a fresh twist on a series that's still familiar to veterans. As mentioned, there are 2 main versions of the game, Birthright, which is easier for beginners, and Conquest, which is more challenging and designed for veterans. The third version, Revelations, is a sort of final saga and hybrids the version differences. Players take on the role of Corrin, an adopted prince of the Kingdom of Nor. Nor is a malevolent empire striving to rule the world and have been long at war with the neighboring kingdom, Hoshido. Corrin was actually born a Hoshidan prince until he was abducted by the Norian king at a young age. The differences between the games stems from the player's choice of which family they align with. Although they were released as separate games, bar the special edition, it closely resembles Sacred Stones, where the story is generally the same, just being witnessed from different perspectives. As for the gameplay, Fates was clearly built on the same engine as Awakening, however it added a lot of new features. Considering Hoshido's clear Japanese inspiration, more Japanese-style weaponry like katana, naginata, and yumi are all new subclasses of the sword, lance, and bow, respectively. There are also clubs that can be wielded by the axe users, and the returning daggers from the Radiance games, which also includes the new shuriken. There's even new, weirder weapons like summoning wild animals. With these new weapons also came a new weapon triangle to accommodate them, while simplifying past systems. Sword and magic beats axe and bow, which beats lance and shuriken, which beats sword and magic. There are many new classes that take advantage of these new weapons and triangle, and have new skills to unlock and use. Corrin himself plays the Lord character, renamed to Prince, and can wield both swords and a dragonstone. Yeah, the main character is a dragon. It's pretty cool. The new weapons and classes gives a lot of variety in terms of how to balance weaponry, but one of the biggest changes is the lack of weapon durability. Weapons in Fates do not break, a series trope which is now removed. It aims to promote better item management to help balance between character weapon levels and to smartly allocate spending across the team. In Conquest, money is very limited, so spending funds and selling off outdated weapons is important. Considering the potential screw-overs that could happen in the GBA games and the lessened ability to grind efficiently, it was probably done to keep the game consistent and avoid being weaponless without money. The series' staple support feature also returns in full force. Characters that spend time near each other gain friendship points and can talk things out and ultimately boost the stats of each other in combat. The tag team features of Awakening also return, but with a new strategic twist. When characters stand next to each other, the chance of dual strikes is now guaranteed and even shown in the combat forecast with hit chance, damage, and even criticals. Now, if 2 characters are paired up, however, there will be no dual strikes whatsoever, and although there is the chance of dual guards naturally, there is a 100% chance that the paired unit will block the enemy's dual strike. This leads to the topic of the opponents. Enemies in Fates can actually use the pair-up function unlike in its predecessor. Considering the now guaranteed aspects of it, it becomes an integral part of combat. Enemies often move units in order to support the real attackers. This leads to more devastating hits when players make critical movement mistakes. A paired-up team of enemies is also a lot harder to deal with, as they block some damage and now need to be defeated essentially twice. This makes positioning on the map very important to combat, similarly to trying to support in the GBA games. It also changes the mindset needed to handle enemies. Dual guards also give experience to the allied unit, so it isn't a waste of experience to pair up. Speaking of the map, on top of all these changes to the weapons and support features, specific enemies and allies can use these special dragon vein spaces to cause drastic changes to the map or launch powerful level hazards. These can both cause sudden changes to tactics and leave units vulnerable. With all these new additions to the already popular Fire Emblem framework, it both feels like the classic Fire Emblem games while giving it its own style to make series veterans think just a little bit differently. Fire Emblem Fates was made to capitalize on the series' newfound popularity. With new changes that don't necessarily enhance or detract from the Fire Emblem framework, it strives to give Fates its own feel, allowing fans both old and new a reason to keep playing the older titles, which are now on Wii U. There's more strategic planning needed to handle these new weapons, classes, and support features in order to increase damage output and mitigate damage taken. Fates manages to build up this risk management system on top of the already famously frustrating tactical RPG. With 3 different stories to play through and all the fun of meeting, training, protecting, and marrying teammates, it's a sequel that would make any fan happy, and that is what makes Fire Emblem Fates unique. Special shout out here to the Fire Emblem subreddit at reddit.com/r/Fire Emblem. When What Makes Games Unique was conceived, Fire Emblem was the first episode, and thanks to their outpouring of support, it helped us continue to make this series today. If you're a fan of Fire Emblem, I'd highly recommend spending time on the subreddit and serenesforest.net. Links are in the description. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and if you'd like to see more videos that discuss what makes any video game stand out, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.